Hey folks, what's going on? Dara here, the Happy Coach. Welcome back to the Happy Podcast, episode 3. I'm joined today by Rianna Jarrett, who is professional football for Brighton, Hove, Albion, and the Republic of Ireland women's team. And like myself and Rianna know each other since college. So 17, what's that, 25, 8 years, good maths. And I got Rianna on because she has an extremely inspiring story from injuries, living in a different country, America, for example, winning National League with Wexford Youths on numerous occasions, and now recently has signed for Brighton Hove Albion. So, Rianna, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it so much.
No worries. Thanks for inviting me. Really looking forward to it.
Happy days. Yeah, I suppose, Rianna, this isn't even a question. This is something that when I seen you get signed for Brighton, I was never so happy for somebody in such a long time. I was like, get in. I was like, fuck yes, come on, Rianna. So fucking happy. Like, I was like, that's the stuff. Like, it's about fucking 3 years overdue, like, if not longer. And I was like, fuck yeah, I was really, really happy for you. So I just wanted to get that bit in, I suppose, first before we crack into it. But
appreciate it.
When you explain the process, like how did they contact you? How did it make you feel? Like, what was the kind of the whole, the transfer entail, I suppose?
So I suppose I kind of initiated the process. I think we went to LA in the start of August with the Irish team to play the US on their victory tour after them winning the World Cup.
Yeah.
So we were their first opponents on their victory tour. It was an unbelievable experience. But
yeah.
I remember I was kind of having a good season with the Wexford Youths. I was kind of as fit as I'd ever been. I was confident, and I was coming off the back of a good season the year before. So I remember talking to Louise Quinn, who plays with Arsenal, and she had made the transition from the Women's National League. She played with Peamount. She was also in college in IT Carlow, kind of before, 2 years before we started. So she went from the Women's National League to being a professional in Sweden. So I was like, I'll just have a little conversation with her and just see how she went about the process, because in my head I was like, I'm not getting any younger. I'm enjoying football again, and I just wanted to see kind of like how I would go about maybe getting the chance to maybe go on trial somewhere. Didn't necessarily have to be England, but obviously I figured the transition to England would be a lot easier with obviously the language, and it's not too far from home, and I have family and stuff in England. But I remember chatting to her, and she was like, yeah, obviously that would be a good idea. It'd be great for you. She was like, I can put you in contact with my agent if you want. So I was like, yeah, that'd be perfect. At this point, I was already kind of thinking of getting in contact with Avenir Sports in Galway to see if they could put together a highlight video for me. Loads of footage. All of our games in the National League were recorded, all the international games. So I had loads of footage, but I just needed someone to put it together. So I kind of picked out what clips I wanted that showed kind of like my whole game, attacking, defending, shooting and everything. And they were putting that together for me. And then Louise put me in contact with their agent. So I had a video call with them because they're based in England. CSU Sports Management are their name. And we got chatting, and they were kind of asking what I was wanting, what I was looking for. And they had set up a couple of trials for me for the middle of November, because our season was due to finish November. We had the cup final the first weekend of November. So I was due to go on trial at Brighton, and there was a couple of other possibilities, but I actually got injured in the cup final. I hyperextended my knee a little bit. So I was out for a couple of weeks, so I wasn't able to go on trial, but thankfully they still wanted me to go over in January. So I went over early January. There was me and 3 other Irish girls and a German girl. So obviously they're in the middle of their season, so we went over for 2 training days. But obviously they're preparing for their game that they have the weekend. So we were just kind of thrown into different scenarios, and they were taking a look at us. And the transfer window in England closed on the 23rd of January. So I got a call, my agent came back to me the Friday before that and was like, Brighton have offered you a contract. She goes, we'll sit down, we'll have a talk, we'll have a look over everything. And we're kind of going back and forth. And then I just remember being in work on the Tuesday, and they were like, you need to give Brighton an answer. I was like, I didn't want to rush into something just because it was an offer. I had to kind of assess all the opportunities. So I was bouncing the ideas back and forth with loads of different people. And eventually I was like, sure, why not? It was a 6 months contract initially. So I was like, I've got nothing to lose. So I went into work that Tuesday morning, and I texted my agent, and I was like, yeah, tell them I'll accept. I was due to have a half day on the Wednesday. Because I had to go to Dublin for an appointment, and then they wanted me over on the Thursday, because that was the last day of the transfer window, basically.
Yeah. I get you.
Went into work that Tuesday, not knowing, and then by lunchtime I was like, had to call a meeting with my manager, and I was like, the way I've been looking to go play abroad somewhere. He knew I was over on trials. I was like, I think today is going to be my last day. And he was like, he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm due to go over to Brighton to sign the paperwork and all on Thursday. I was like, do you mind if I finish up today? Obviously I need to get a lot of stuff in order.
Yeah.
And thankfully Brighton let me go over on the Thursday, get all the formalities out of the way. Obviously the medical, sign the forms, make sure everything was correct before we submitted it before 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And thankfully they let me come home the weekend, kind of gather my thoughts, say goodbye to people, and obviously pack up whatever I needed. And I moved over on the Monday then, and I think that was the 27th of January, and I was over there since, obviously up until everything that's going on now. So I'm back home in Wexford.
Happy days. And just out of curiosity, because what does a medical actually entail? And like, is the process of signing the contract and doing a medical long, or what way does that work?
So there was two of us that were signing on the last day. There was a girl signing on loan, and then there was me who was signing a 6-month contract. So the medical is straightforward enough. They ask you like a series of questions, obviously, about your history and stuff. They go through any injuries, but then they just look at kind of how your body moves. So it's just simple exercises, test your limbs, your movements, see if there's any imbalances, or if you're unable to perform any movements. It's nothing major. I definitely think there might be more to it in the men's side of things. Like I think they get like ECGs and stuff like that. But luckily I had only got an ECG done the summer before we went to Champions League with the youths. So I had the results and all of that, so they were happy with that. So it was just meeting with the doctor, meeting with the physio, going through a series of things, and then with signing the contract, obviously there was a contract for the club and myself that obviously my agent had gone through first, and she read through obviously all the legal terms and filled me in on everything obviously before I signed it. So I signed that, but then after all that's done, then the club have their own kind of stuff that you need to sign, obviously agreeing to like their different terms and just like different things about like how you act around the training ground. Just loads of stuff like that. So mine went through straightforward enough, because I said because I was playing with Wexford Youths, our season ended the first weekend in November. So as of then, I was a free agent. So
so wanting a transfer
anywhere. Just needed paperwork from Wexford Youths saying that I was a free agent, and they had gotten that already. But with the other girl, Maxine, obviously because she was going on loan, there had to be stuff that was signed by like the club, her parent club, which is Reading, her agent, her, and Brighton. So obviously there's 4 parties that needed to be included in that. And her agent was based, I think, in the Netherlands, because she's Dutch. So I think there was like a lot of going to and from. They just about got hers over the line by, I think it was like 4:30. But mine was all in the clear long before that. So it was just about getting kind of press release stuff done as well. And that was it then.
Happy days. Perfect. And then you're with Wexford Youths for a long time anyway. And, you dominated the Nationals Women League for numerous amount of years. And in terms of how grateful of Wexford Youths are you?
Oh, I mean, joining the Youths was definitely the best thing that I ever done. I mean, I signed when I was 16, going on 17. So it was the first year of the National League. It was new to the country. It was new to everyone. Obviously, we were a new team starting up. So Wexford Youths was made up of players from kind of like the southeast. So your core group were from like Waterford, Wexford, Carlow, Kilkenny. And then throughout the years, we've had a few others that have come from further. Like you had Clara Reardon, who was from Limerick, obviously was in college with us in Carlow. Emma Hansbury, who was from Sligo, who ended up being in college in Carlow as well. And Ruth Fahy, who was from Galway. So there were still players coming from everywhere. Even now, we've got players from Kildare, Dundalk. So we still are kind of getting people in, but definitely playing at that higher level than playing junior football in Wexford. It was a massive step up for me, obviously. And as the league has progressed, you need to be fitter, you need to be stronger, you need to be smarter. And I feel like obviously I've had a lot of injuries, so I've missed a lot of football. But definitely the last two seasons, I think crown me. I think it's the best football that I've played kind of since I was kind of 15, 16. So definitely I've grown a lot as a person and as a player, and I've also met friends for life from playing not only with the girls in the National League with Western Youths, like we're all very, very close. But then also girls that you play against as well, like we all become friends because you're in the same circle.
Happy days. And just for the people watching or listening, how many league titles did you win with Wexford?
4.
4, okay. And was the Champions League that you were at last year the only one, or was that the first time that you actually got it? Or what made that work?
So the winners of the National League will represent Ireland in the Champions League group stages. So we played 4 times. So the first one was we won the 2014-2015 season. We then won the 2015-2016 season. We then won it in 2017 and 2018. So we won it 4 times. We played the Champions League qualifiers 4 times. So the first time we went to Konin in Poland. That was a great experience. The second time we actually hosted it. So it was in Ireland. So the games were in Prairie Carrig, obviously our home pitch, and the RFC in Waterford. The third time then we went to Belfast, Linfield hosted it. And then more recently we went to Lithuania just in August gone.
Class. And the group stage is played often over like say 2 or 3 weeks, is it? That's the way it works?
So I think you're there for 10 days. So you play
10 days.
Well, actually, I think it's 8 or 9 days. So you play 3 games in quick succession. So I think now there's 2 days between every game. Whereas previously, I think there was 1 game between the first and second game, and then there was 2 days then between the second and third game.
Okay. And then whenever whoever comes out top of the group stage, does that work as a home and away like it does? It then goes into the knockout fixtures. So any of the big teams, so your English teams, your German teams, your French teams, they'll all get automatic qualification to. I think it's the last 32. So once you qualify for that, then it's a home and away fixture played over. I think it's 2 weeks. Right. That's interesting. Actually, I wasn't 100% sure how it worked after the group stage in terms of the women's side of things. But then, like, when I first met you, Rianna, obviously I was 17. I think you maybe were 17 or 18 when we were first year at college.
Yeah.
And obviously during college, you'd done your cruciate twice. But like, obviously, when the first one happened, and the second one, how did that affect you mentally?
Obviously they were all tough. Obviously I've done it 3 times in the space of 4 or 5 years.
Oh, you done 3 times?
Yeah, the first time I done it was we were in first year. I was away with the Irish under-19s team. So I'd had a good year, first year in college. Doing really well, was enjoying it. Was enjoying stuff with the Irish team. And it was kind of April time, we had the elite qualifiers in Holland. And I'd done it for the first time. So obviously I was still quite young. I was 18 going on 19. It was the first time I'd actually been injured. So it took me a little while to get into the mindset of like what I needed to do. Obviously that no one else can do anything for me. It was all me, but I had a good support system. Obviously being in the course in Carlow obviously helped because we had the facilities. There was time that I could focus on it. And then that was fine. I got back playing and then was back playing for, I think we had maybe 5 or 6 games left with the Wexford Youths that season. We ended up winning our first trophy, which was the League Cup. So we had a home game against Castlebar Celtic. We won. And then from there, I ended up going to America. So I kind of deferred my place on the course in Carlow after second year, and then went to America on a scholarship. And when I came back for Christmas, I went away with the Irish team again that January. And done my knee for the second time. My right knee went again. So that one was difficult. I was as fit as strong as I'd ever been, and it went again. So I was like, what's happening here? So that got my operation in the February. I chose not to go back to America, so I wasn't in college. I couldn't go back to Carlow until the September. So when I went back to college in the September, obviously I had the facilities and all again, and then I done it for a third time then when I went away with the Irish team again the following year. So I think that was 2016, and that was the most difficult one. For me, it got to a point where I was like, I didn't really know if I wanted to come back playing soccer again. I was struggling with my recovery kind of the first 3 months. I wasn't motivated. I couldn't get myself going. But luckily, Sue Ronan, who was the manager of the Irish team at the time, she put me in contact with Dan Horan, who is involved with the Irish men's senior team. And he was also a lecturer in the IT in Carlow. So put me in contact with him. We had like a deep discussion, a chat and everything. And then he ended up taking my program from there. So I'd meet him twice a week before college, either in the gym or on the Ashdown in Carlow, depending on what stage I was at. And he'd take me through everything. So from my gym program to my running. I was eventually back playing then the summer of 2017. And from there, then I've just been building and like to think that I haven't looked back since.
Happy days. And that's obviously like an amazing comeback, going from literally, and it's the same knee that went 3 times, was it? Your right knee?
No, so I done my right knee went twice first, and then the most recent one was my left knee went once. Okay,
and like just for like anyone listening, like cruciate injury is probably one of the worst ones you can do as an athlete in terms of recovery wise. Like probably 9 months if you're doing well, I suppose. Would I be right saying that?
Yeah, so they say kind of 9 to 12 months. So my first two, I think I was back within 9 or 10 months. My third one, that actually took me, I think, 14 months because I ended up getting sick. I had a viral infection for about 6 weeks. But I think that extra time actually crowned me in terms of both mentally and physically. When I was ready to return, I knew I was ready. We were at like the halfway point of our season, so there was no rush. Like I wasn't rushing back for anything in particular. And thankfully I got back midway through the season and we won the league that year. So obviously it was a great return for me. It's definitely it's a long road, both mentally and physically. And I think if anyone that is going through it, you need to surround yourself with good people, because not every day is going to be a good day. Like anything in life, you're going to have your bad days, but it's about like understanding that and accepting that, not letting one bad day like determine who you are or determine the outcome of what you want. And I think that's the biggest battle for me. That was anyways.
Yeah, definitely. I know, like, it's very admirable for myself and for anyone listening as well, because that isn't easy to come back in any stage of life we're in, regardless of coming back to become a professional footballer. And obviously, like that, like in a sense, that is a fantastic comeback, because it's very, I suppose, it's kind of a good example of life. You go, get knocked back, go, get knocked back, go, get knocked back. But most people, when they get knocked back, they stay knocked down on their arse, basically. Where Rianna is a fantastic example of extremely patient for once, highly resilient, and is paying absolutely fantastic benefits from it now, being a professional footballer. And like, in terms of like that comeback's unreal, Rianna. Like, I hope everyone listening just understands that's incredible. How, like, obviously there's a negative part of doing a cruciate affect you mentally, but how did it affect you mentally in a positive way? Because I imagine your mental strength now is incredible at the moment.
So I suppose I learned a lot about myself. Obviously, a lot of things happen in life, whether it be in sport or in life itself and in work. Like, there's no one that goes through life without any form of a setback.
Yeah.
Like, it's just unheard of. Like, and it may be little to someone, but just because it's little to someone else doesn't mean it's not big to you. But what I've always learned, and what people have always told me, like, it's about how you recover from things. There's two ways you can go. You can sit there and let it affect you, and naturally it is going to affect you in some point, but it's how you recover from that and bounce back, and what you take from everything that happens. And for me, obviously, when I was injured, like, we all play sports for a reason. Like, it's you're there with your friends, you love the game. I mean, I went to college and done the FAI course, so the sports management and coaching course, which every Tuesday and Thursday we were on the pitch training, the boys and the girls, and then you're in the gym on a Monday. And then you've obviously got your coach education side of things as well as the business module as well. And for me, so it wasn't just my club that was taken away from me, it was a big part of college as well that I wasn't able to do. So it was definitely difficult, but for me, I'm glad I was in that course at the time, because I done a lot of coaching when I was injured, and to be honest, I never thought about coaching before I went to college. it was something that I was like, nah, I'll probably do it. But now from going through the course and finishing the course, I got my UEFA B license, and I know that like right now I don't coach at the minute because I don't have time. I'm just focusing on myself and I'm playing. But once I finish, like I feel that I will definitely want to go down maybe the coaching route. And that's definitely helped me. But also those times when I was injured, I wasn't able to play, but I was always at every training session, every match with the youths. But then coaching kids, coaching underage teams helped me then to kind of get that fix of being involved in a different capacity. And I think I learned a lot about the game as well through coaching. So now as a player, you can look at it from different aspects. You can look at it from like coach's aspects, because you're kind of used to those different scenarios and how they think and what they look at. And it's definitely helped me to improve my game both on and off the pitch.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good. I actually found that as well when I started getting good at coaching, that I actually got better as a player because I actually understood to play. But I remember when I first went to Carlo, I didn't know there was coaching or soccer in the course. I just rocked up, thought like for an exercise course. And then when we got there, I was told we're coaching. So for anyone listening, that's how I got introduced to coaching. I picked a course that I got mixed up with, basically.
That doesn't surprise me, but you.
No, not the slightest.
Nor anyone that knows you.
But no, well, I'll be tagging Car's soccer page in this as well. I'll be doing a few clips of this stuff. But like for my career, what I'm doing now, I'm so grateful for the course itself. And like what you're touching there, it was like, you know, it helped dramatically with the facilities. Having the Irish physio, Dan Horn in Carlo as well. But like, how did the course change your life? Not change your life, I suppose. How did the course, you know, help you with what you're doing now, I suppose? I know you're touching on the coaching stuff, like, but any other aspects of it that kind of helps you improve as a player, improve mentally?
Yeah, I suppose in terms of like the whole player development aspect of the course, it's not just the physical side of things. So it's not just you're on the pitch, or it's not just your gym work that is taken into consideration. There's a lot of modules that we went through. So psychology, nutrition, those two I suppose would be the biggest thing for me. Anyone that knows me from when I was growing up, like I always struggled with foods. Kind of juggled my weight, went up and down in weight, and especially when I was injured, I put on weight, and kind of when I was returning, then a lot of times it was kind of hard to like get back to not only where I was, but then to improve from there further as well. So for me, kind of those modules and having help in that, it was definitely a big aspect. But I think I've learned more now since I finished, that I've been able to sit down and think back and relate to what we were actually learning, kind of the assignments we were doing, rather than at the time you're probably like, oh, I'm getting it done because I have to get it done. But for me, especially the last year, I think from when we won the league in 2017, and then when we won the league in 2018, I had a good season. We won the cup final, and from there I actually I fractured a bone in my foot in the October. Came out of the boot early to play in the cup final, which I shouldn't have done. Was kind of went against the advice of all the medical team, but fortunately for me, I didn't do any further damage. But from there, it was like, right, I've had a great season, but I don't want to just rest there. It's like I want to build on from there. So kind of needed to take a look at myself, and I think it took me even halfway until last season I was put in contact with a nutritionist, Siobhan Tracy, and it was just kind of tidying up things. I knew from studying that like the right foods to be eaten at the right times and stuff, but it was for me, I think I just needed someone to be accountable to more so than anything else. So the plan we had, like, she wasn't telling me what to eat or what not to eat. I gave her a week's food diary, and she gave me some alternatives to stuff that I was already eating. So she wasn't taking anything away from me. She wasn't restricting me from anything, but it was like just better choices for what I'm eating. So I text her at the end of every day, just what times I've eaten, what I've eaten at what time, and then also if I've done any exercise that day. Because for me, it wasn't about losing weight. It was just that I was really, really busy on training days. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'd have gym, I'd have 8 hours of work, and then I'd have training in Carlo. And it was just, I was getting tired before training sessions, which obviously isn't ideal because you need to fuel your body. So it was just like making sure I was eating the right stuff at the right time. And in turn, from working with her, I ended up eating more foods than I actually ever did. But it helped me in terms of energy levels, in terms of like slimming down, toning up, and my muscle mass. I wasn't doing any extra training than what I was doing before I met her, but it was just I was fueling my body in the right way. So like I went up in muscle mass, and the differences was phenomenal from what I seen. Even from started working with her in May, even up until like even just 2 months, like was unbelievable. So I worked with her for the rest of the season. And even the knowledge that I've taken from her, like, has been unbelievable. But it's stuff that I already knew. And when we were talking and different stuff, like we were going through different things, and it was like triggering my brain because it was stuff that I had picked up and carried out. But as I said, like maybe just going through the motions, doing it just because we have to, not because I thought it would benefit me. And now looking back on it, if I had had the right mind frame back in college, then this whole process could have started maybe 3 or 4 years ago rather than a year ago now. But I suppose that comes with learning and maturing then as well.
And what kind of changes did she, or not changes because she didn't force anything, but what recommendations did she advise that did you notice dramatic changes in yourself physically?
I suppose it was making sure I was eating the right foods at the right time. But like I could go, like, so obviously I have a long day. I'd have gym from 6:30 to 7:30. I'd work from 9 till 5, and then I'd have training then from 6:30 in the evening till 8 o'clock. So I'd leave my house at 6 o'clock and I wouldn't get home till maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. So it was obviously making sure that I had all of my food planned for those days, especially because otherwise, if you don't have stuff planned, then you're picking at stuff, you're buying stuff that's not going to help you. So it's just making sure that I had my meals planned. I knew what I was going to eat, but it was making sure, like, so say I was making a bolognese, simple things like obviously use brown pasta, obviously look at your portion sizes, but then even just the sauce. So it'd be make the sauce yourself rather than buying the done mix.
Full of sugar and calories and stuff.
Literally little things like that. Even like I like cheese, but it was like maybe can I take out cheddar, and like if I'm having like a sandwich or something, like don't use mayonnaise or anything, but can you incorporate maybe tomatoes that'll give you that little bit of juice? Feta cheese is a better alternative than
lower in calories. I think that is
if I am having snacks, obviously, can you go for like the 0% fat yogurts? And just little things like that. More fruit was a big thing. So in terms of my breakfast, and after the gym, I might have scrambled eggs and some toast, or I might have porridge with like fruit, but with a little bit of protein put into it to aid the recovery to make sure that it's just little things that obviously but it's like how do you combine it all?
Implement them properly and stuff.
But even like she said, like I could have 2 cheat days a week. So it's like if you wanted your bit of chocolate, or if you wanted even like to make like a curry that had maybe cream in it. Leave that to one of your cheat days. So like she wasn't restricting me from anything. It was like, and then even for me the biggest thing was she was like cut out alcohol where possible. I went to her at one point. I was like, look, I'm going to a concert this week. And I was like, I want to enjoy myself. I want to have a few drinks. She was like, that's completely fine. But she's like, as long as the next day you pick right up where you left off. So the next day she was like, make sure you have what you're going to eat planned. So get up and make sure you're eating the right things. So have my few drinks that night. I was grand. And the next day I got up, had my porridge, had my lunch. And even in terms of like a hangover, like I didn't feel a hangover. Like, the nutrients that my body needed, and even just little things like that helped. Like she wasn't taking away anything. She was like, I'm not going to restrict you, because if you restrict yourself, it's not going to be a lifestyle change.
No,
it's going to be a fix that you might do for a few weeks, but then naturally you'll just revert back to how you were. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, is she wasn't restricting me from anything. I wasn't stopping myself from eating anything. It was like just making better choices at better times depending on when you wanted to peak. And for me, ultimately, that was a Saturday evening, 6:30 when we had a match. I needed to be ready to perform, and I feel that I was.
Happy days. Like, it's really interesting that like you got a nutritionist, you're a professional footballer, and you're not being told to restrict any foods. Because even with my business with the H&M Fitness, the last thing you ever want to do with somebody is take away food, because they'll end up just binging, or they're not in control over it. And like your little tweaks there, isn't something dramatic. It's just like it's just small little tweaks that people can find. And you touched on there that it's having somebody to be accountable for.
Yeah.
And you're touching there, like a few years ago, like you probably didn't have that in your life. Did you think of that like a few years ago, like that maybe you should have reached out, or was it just something that pops into your head the last year or so?
I think for me, obviously, a few years ago, like going through all the injuries, like kind of everything that I was doing was like up in the air. So like even my training, even like transitioning from college into full-time work, like so nothing was set in stone. It was all kind of up in the air. Whereas since I've been back playing in the summer 2017, like everything has been consistent in terms of like training, my gym. I also met up with a personal trainer in Wexford, which would have been, I think it was September 2018, I think I met up with him. And it was just I wanted to move better on the pitch. So it wasn't that I needed, and then we'd throw in like a conditioning block at the end of each session, but it was like I wanted to move better. I wanted to work on certain things, and incorporating that with nutritionists were the biggest changes that I met. Like so it wasn't just a case of me getting a generic gym program and going to the gym, because I was good at going to the gym, but I felt that I wasn't getting enough out of the gym because I probably wasn't on the right program or concentrating on specific things. So by going to a personal trainer, we started off with one-to-one sessions, but then I got to a point where it's like I don't need one-to-one sessions, so then I went semi-private. So it was only like 3 or 4 of us, but I'd have my own program, and he'd be like,
you work away,
if I needed help with anything, he was there, and that changed my whole outlook to the gym and how to work in the gym. But I think it was just when things got consistent for me, so I was training well, I was doing the work, it was like I still wasn't seeing the finer detail. So obviously I've always been told like you can train all you want, but if you're not eating to fuel that, or if you're not eating the right things, like you're not going to see the outcome. And I think for me it was at that point the penny finally dropped when I was training well, I was consistent in the gym, consistently training, doing everything that needs to be done, but I still wasn't seeing those finer details, and ultimately that came down to my food. I think it definitely would have helped if I had like realized that like a lot sooner. Obviously people would always say it to me, that's what you hear, but I think you just need to sit down and realize. And I think for me it was, if you sit down at the end of like every day and write down what you've eaten, it's only then you'll realize, because you can go through a day and like you might pick at something and you might not realize, but if you're going through a day and you have to write down everything that you've eaten at certain times, once you go back and look on a week, you can actually see, oh shit, realize like how much you're actually eating, or the wrong stuff that you're actually eating. Whereas if you try and say you sit there now and you try and think, what did I eat this week or last week, like you can't recall everything that you put in your body. So I think even for people that are trying to do that, if you keep a food diary, even do it in the notes on your phone as you're eating, just take note of the time and what you're eating, and then even look back on it, you can see yourself that there's stuff that you shouldn't be eating, or stuff that you can change for something else. And it's just the realization more than anything else. Yeah,
definitely. That's actually really interesting. And as well, the one thing I noted from that the most was that, like, obviously you're reaping the rewards now recently, obviously signed for Brighton, but you invested in a nutritionist and you invested in a personal trainer to get you, obviously, your body better from the food and obviously getting physically stronger. And like, it's just showing that it's paramount to be willing to invest in yourself, because a lot of people think, I couldn't be arsed doing that, or why do I want to hire a personal trainer, or why do I want to hire a nutritionist, or why do I want to go to college to do a course, or why do I want to do a weekend course, whatever. And like, Rianna is somebody who is literally a professional footballer now and went through a lot of injuries and invested a fuck ton of time, of course, and in a nutritionist and a personal trainer. And obviously, like, you're still doing things at the moment, but I'd imagine if you didn't invest in yourself, Rianna, you might not be where you are now today. So I do think it's absolutely important for the people listening to be willing to invest in yourself.
Oh yeah, but without a doubt, like if I hadn't have definitely, especially those two things, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'd still be sitting there just kind of going through the motions. And I think for me, I realized what I needed to do to separate myself from everyone else, but to get the best out of me. And for me, it was kind of being accountable to people. So I knew that I had my 2 or 3 gym sessions. And for me, I chose to get them early in the morning because it helped me. It was easier to fit them in my schedule. But I also knew then that, right, so I have sessions booked. So it's like, right, I have to be there at that time. Whereas say if you have your gym membership, you're like, right, I'll go later. You get home from work, you sit down 3 hours later and you still have a beer on the sofa. Like
100%.
It comes down to that, just even like that motivation, because there's some days where the last thing you want to do is train. But if you have to be somewhere at a certain time, you have to be there. And 9 times out of 10, the hardest battle is actually getting there. Once you're there and once you're warmed up, you're ready to go because you're in that mind frame anyway. But like 9 times out of 10, it is getting from A to B, and once you're there, you're ready to rock. And I always found that was the most difficult thing with me.
Yeah, 100%. And like, you sound like you're, well, obviously you have to be disciplined professional footballer, but even before, like, you know, training 6:30, first trainer, you know, working obviously to train afterwards, like, and like you're prepping your food, so you're extremely organized and self-disciplined with everything you're doing, which is another important trait to have if you want to be kind of good at anything you're really doing, which is really, really good. Then let's kind of crack back into Brighton, Pat, Rianna. Like, explain like an average day training basically, because I just want to know, just being a coach basically. I'm nosy.
So I'll give you a breakdown of our week. So our match days are Sundays, and she plays Sundays at 2:00. So Monday mornings, then we're fortunate enough that we're based at the Amex, so the men's stadium. So the American Express Stadium. So we use one of the dressing rooms in there, and there's a gym in there, and then we use university pitches across the road, which is where we train. They're building a women's section at the men's training ground at the minute, which was due to be finished by late this year, early next year. But obviously with everything that's gone on, that'll more than likely be pushed back. So Monday morning we're in for breakfast. So we arrive between kind of like 8 and 8:20. You get breakfast. We then go down to the dressing room. You have like your different physio slots if you need taping or need to be seen. You have kind of like 45 minutes to an hour of like your pre-activation. So anything that you need to get done, we have like little programs that have different things that everyone needs to work on individually. You have your foam rollers, your bands, so your mobility, whatever you need to to do. On Mondays then we do so if you played, you do recovery, you do an active recovery. If you haven't played, then we do kind of like a blowout. So we 2 or 3 rounds of a circuit in the gym just to get us going, and then we go onto the pitch and you do a short session on the pitch, kind of small sided, getting your touches in, so it's all conditioning, but with the ball.
The ball, of course,
Tuesdays then is our day off, so everyone has Tuesday off. Wednesday then, same thing, you're in for breakfast. You do your activation, whatever. We do then analysis. So we'll do post game analysis. So we'll look at the game from the weekend, and then we're out on the pitch. Between 10:30 and 11, you do your 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours session on the pitch. So Wednesday would be more intense, kind of short, sharp things, a lot of touches on the ball. Come in, then we got our lunch at the training ground, and then you do a strength session in the gym. So we're split into 3 groups. So you do a lower body strength session, that's fine. Thursday morning, similar, breakfast on the pitch, and then Friday's the same, and then either Thursday or Friday you do a power session. So it's up to you. Some people like to do it on a Thursday, some people like to do it on a Friday. Obviously we play Sunday. Then if we have a home game, we're off on Saturdays. But if we have an away game where we're staying overnight, we'll travel on Saturdays, and then
I get you.
play on Tuesday. So it's a busy week, but there's a lot of downtime in it. The latest you're there is like 3:00 would be the latest you'd finish.
Not too bad.
It's a nice day, really.
And what was, like, did you know anyone over there before you signed?
So Megan Conley, she is from Cork, so she plays on the international team with me. So she's been there just over a year now, so I knew her. But I didn't mind going over there, so I'm actually living with her and a Welsh girl. So it's sweet. It's the club put 3 of us up in a house, so there's different player houses around Brighton.
And what was like when you first got there and stuff like that? What was the club like welcoming you? What were the players like? chatting to him and getting friendly with him? Like,
Yeah,
how
so
did that
obviously
process?
I'd gone over on trial for 2 days, and the girls were very nice, like very welcome. And then when I signed, so I got collected at the airport by our player liaison officer, Jackie.
Yeah.
She brought me to. So when I got there when I signed, I went to the house on the Friday morning before I flew back to Ireland just to drop off all my stuff.
Yeah.
And we kind of got my room set up. Like she got me like duvet covers, pillow,
Oh, nice
pillowcase
one.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So we just set up my room when I unpacked my suitcase. And then when I came to Ireland and went back over again, she collected me and she was like, right, you need to go do any food shopping. And I was like, yeah. So she brought me to Asda, got my food shopping for the week. She brought me to Argos, bought a TV, needed a
Happy
TV,
days.
first thing on my list. And then she kind of dropped me at the house and kind of just said, if you need anything, let me know. And the 2 girls that I live with, they returned later on in the afternoon. So obviously I'd already met them. Obviously I knew Megan, so it was fine. And then in terms of training, like all the girls are very welcoming. They're all very nice, very easy to get along with. So it definitely made the transition that little bit easier.
Happy days. And did any of them struggle with the Irish accent, or what's the story?
No, see, I personally don't think my accent is that strong.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, it's not really. That's what I was thinking.
Like, so it's it's actually worse when I'm with Wexford people as opposed to when I'm not.
I think everyone's like that when you go back home.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's class, Rianna. I'm enjoying this now. We're getting a big insight into it. And what was the one, or what were the key differences you noticed the minute you went from League of Ireland to over to England? What was the kind of major differences you noticed in Wexford and Brighton?
Obviously, like it's the speed and the strength and the fitness, because obviously it's strictly amateur in the women's national league in Ireland. Like with Wexford Youths, we train twice a week. And then we all done our own individual things. I know some teams they train 3 times a week, but majority of clubs only train twice a week. So you've gone from 2 pitch sessions with your club to we're now on the pitch 4 times a week.
With gym and everything.
You've got your gym sessions thrown in there as well then. So for me, it was obviously getting my body used to that transition. I was carrying a bit of a knock when I did sign from when I hurt my knee in November, so it was a case of like slowly introducing me into that load, making sure that I don't spike too soon, and obviously that helped. And I feel I was only just finding my feet when kind of the whole world came to so obviously I was just adapting to it. I played my first game and then we had the international break, and then I was back for a week, and then I've been home since. So I'm looking forward to going back over and kind of adapting again and finding my feet and seeing where we are. But it's definitely just like the physicality, and then just going from an amateur environment where, as you said, most people are working or in college, or to a full-time environment. Like I don't have to worry about going to work. Like instead of going to work, like all my time now is focused on football and how I perform, how I recover. I don't have to try and fit football around work or try and balance the both, which for me has been the biggest thing in that. And it's been a breath of fresh air, to be honest.
Happy days. Well, that's really interesting, Rianna. That's getting a really good bit of insight into it. Then for, I suppose, people listening are probably kind of curious, what are you kind of doing with yourself then at the moment? Like with what program did Brighton give you, and you have to do X amount of stuff each day and check in, and what way is that working? Yeah,
so they've sent us a program that has like different running sessions, different gym sessions. So we have kind of like home workouts. So every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday morning, we join into a Zoom call. So it's like 10:30 or 11:15. And it's like an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes. So Mondays and Thursdays we do lower body. So we have lower body sessions that the club provide us, and then Tuesdays and Fridays we have upper body. So anyone that's still based in England, the club provides them with equipment. So they sent out bikes, so they can do, because obviously they were cautious about us loading too much in this time. So they took away one of our running sessions a week and was like, you can do it on a bike. And they also sent out some weights or some mats. I was fortunate enough that the gym up the road or in Enniscorthy, let me borrow some equipment. So I got 2 sets of dumbbells and a bike off of them. So that's
Happy
helped
days.
me in
Yeah,
terms
yeah,
of
yeah.
getting that done. And then we have running programs. So the first couple of weeks it was like a lot of conditioning based, and then they changed it up. So now we have, I think we've 2 conditioning sessions a week, which are fine. And then we have others like speed and plyometrics and acceleration work then as well, kind of split into sessions. And then we have kind of just small little football drills just to make sure that we're getting the touches on the ball each day as well. It's a busy schedule, but I suppose it gives us a lot to focus on, and hopefully if we can get back training, we'll all be ready to hit the ground running again.
Happy days. That's class, Rianna. I have one more question for you, Rianna, just because curiosity, because I wasn't good enough in football, basically. What's it like being a professional footballer? Like in a kind of be a sentence.
Obviously, I'm still adapting to it. But like it's great getting paid to do what I love. Like I played soccer since I was 6. Like played with the boys growing up, and I think for me, it's kind of, I've finally gotten back to loving the game that I've loved all my life. Obviously, we had a fight a couple of years. But like it's a breath of fresh air now, knowing that like I can focus all my time on myself and how I perform, and there's people there to guide me. So obviously, like we have a strength and conditioning coach with the club. There's nutritionists with the club. Obviously, there's physios, doctors. There's coaches. So like there's a lot of people there to help. And I've always wanted to test myself in that environment. I always wanted to see, was I good enough? Was I able to succeed? And I think obviously now I have the opportunity. It's only a short-term contract at the minute, and obviously I don't know how that's going to pan out with everything that's happening now. But that's a conversation to have with the club at a later date. But obviously I'm enjoying it so far. So I was only there a couple of weeks before everything kind of flipped. But I'm definitely looking back to getting back there and kind of maybe hopefully prove what I can do. And instead I've only played 1 game, and it was a cup game, so I haven't even had a taste for the league yet. But I do think that there's a lot more to come from me.
Definitely,
and I'm just hoping that a full-time environment can hopefully help me in showing what I can do.
Happy days. Rianna, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It was very insightful into what I suppose what it's like being a professional footballer, and just, you know, your mindset, how disciplined you are, you know, overcoming the 3 cruciates come back from. So for everybody listening, let us know, or let myself know with a DM, or, you know, message on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're watching or viewing it. Let me know how you think or what you think of it. And yeah, Rianna, honestly, I appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure.
No worries. Thanks for having me.